I think one of the biggest mistakes that online business owners make, service providers especially, is they will create a way to get seen before they've really mapped out the journey, or essentially they will have a way to get visible, but they don't really have a direction for that person to follow. This can look like posting on social media, posting on your platform of choice, but not really having a way to nurture them after that, or having lead magnets, but those lead magnets aren't actually connected to their offer. And for that one, it's interesting because I've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, I can get people onto my email list, but then they don't sign up to my offers. Maybe they're just, tire kickers or whatever you want to call them. When in reality, the problem that you are solving with your lead magnet really doesn't match what you're trying to do in your offer. And so it's literally the situation of someone went to the restaurant, they ordered spaghetti, you delivered them a burger, and you're wondering why they're not happy. Okay, another example of this is email list sitting untouched, meaning that people will opt in and then you're not actually keeping in contact with them through email, or you have followers on the platform of your choice, but you don't have an actual journey for them, and people are consuming your content, but they're not actually diving deeper. And so people will think that this is actually a visibility problem, that there's something in your top of funnel content, right? The content that everyone's finding and seeing, when really this is a journey problem. This is the path you have created is broken and it's not working. If this is something that you're interested in, keep listening. Welcome to the Savvy Founder Podcast, where vision meets strategy. Get ready to unlock the power of mindset and entrepreneurship and demystify the art of systemizing your business for success. I'm your host, Jenae Reid, an engineer turned master mindset coach and systems expert. Are you ready to transform your business and mindset? Then let's dive in and make your vision a reality right here on the Savvy Founder Podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you about why your content isn't converting into clients. I think this is a topic that I personally feel like I felt victim to for years, and that is no exaggeration. And I invested in so many courses and things to try and get better at my content, when really I just didn't realize exactly what I'm putting in this episode. And so if you are in that place where you've been generating your content and you just feel like people aren't going all the way through, or they're not purchasing the way that you would like to see, I hope that you listen to this, and I hope this shines light on what's really going on so that you're able to fix it even sooner. Okay, so when you have a way to get seen and you don't have a journey, that is a recipe for burnout. It is a recipe for exhaustion. It also creates this need of, I have to consistently create content. Now, let me be very specific when I say this. Creating content is actually a form of testing. If you're not looking back at your content that you've created to figure out what's performing the best and having that really inform your decision of what you decide to create from here, that's a whole other issue we can talk about. But that journey that comes after that content must be created, or should be created, before you just blindly start creating content. And when you are in this place where the journey is not really mapped, it's so easy to feel like you're constantly starting from zero, that you might be able to get people's attention, but it feels like it's just disappearing into thin air. And it's kind of this, I feel like, viral chasing that happens of, oh my gosh, it depends on if the algorithm takes off, and did I find the right trending audio, and all of these things. And this is what I call, and where a lot of my initial phrasing of this is doing business on hard mode comes from, because I think of content so different. I do think, yes, it's important to create content and let the content really tell you what to do moving forward. And at the same time, the content serves a purpose. The content should be something that is an asset. It is not just random energy that you're pouring into. And I know for me, there were years when one of the biggest tasks for me to do every day was just to get visible and post and make sure that I'm posting in all of these different places to get seen. But to be honest, I really didn't have that next step mapped out. And so now that I look back, it's such a no-brainer of I had people who were interested, who were consuming my content, and I literally just wasn't meeting them where they were. I want you to think about this from the standpoint of you don't really spend time watching content that's not relevant to you. If you have ever gotten caught up in just scrolling endlessly and then you stop on one, if it's not relevant to you, you wouldn't stop and be looking at it, which means that for most of us that are in the business space, if someone's taking the time to consume your content, that means that they have a problem that your content could solve. The fact that we don't then have a natural next step or helping them one step further, it's a missed opportunity, because having someone's attention is so valuable. Someone's time, especially in this day and age when attention spans at an all-time low, essentially. Use that, capitalize on it. Don't let your hard work of creating the content go to waste just because you haven't mapped out that next step. The next point that I really want to go into is, like I said, every piece of content should know where it's sending people. This is about, don't just randomly make a freebie. Don't just randomly make something for people to join your email list, but make sure that you are designing that next step intentionally. And I'm going to talk to you in the next point about how I do this. So for example, I have a secret podcast, and my secret podcast talks about my visibility system that I've used that really was tested when I went through a hurricane. I didn't have internet and I was still able to get people on my email list every single day without me having internet. It was really crazy. Anyways, that secret podcast, it introduces people to how I think about business, how I think about visibility as a mom, as someone who doesn't have a lot of time. And then it invites them of, hey, if this is something that you vibe with, you really want this in your business, you want help implementing this, here's a priority wait list for you to be able to join my program where I will help you build this out in your business. Or, for example, having a quiz, and maybe the quiz is going to point out, okay, this is your character. This is exactly how you show up, or this is a gap that you have. And maybe you have a mini course after that's the next step of, hey, now that you know that you have this problem, the quiz told you this is what you should be doing, right? You get the idea that there's always a next step for people. And this is really important because I think sometimes people just start to think, oh, the whole point of having a freebie is I'm just collecting emails. Yes, but no. It should also be preparing them and priming them for the next solution. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is I want you to actually build backwards. What the heck does that mean? I don't want you to actually start thinking about this from the content or from the freebie, because when people do that, a lot of times what they're trying to do is then they're trying to force it to fit with the main offer. Whereas the way that I like to approach this is really more of creating an architecture of having this nice flowing system that flows into the next part. And the way that you do that really well is to actually start with your main offer in mind, because when you start with your main offer in mind, and that offer should solve a very specific problem that they are having, what you're doing is you're taking one step before that and you're saying, hey, what do I need to do in order to make sure that this person is ready for this main offer? And that's what that next step should have, because if you can do this, you are literally capturing where they are emotionally, mentally, and strategically before they're ready for the next offer. And then you do the same thing and you work your way all the way back until you're at the point of your front-facing content. And you build systems that are then going to support them as they're going forward in this process. I really wish that I could show you my paper. Well, it's actually more remarkable so that you can see this drawn out. But the best way I can describe it is work backwards. Start with your main offer in mind and work back from what do they need to know? What obstacles are they dealing with that might keep them from wanting to take that next step? And that's what your previous step needs to do. So if your business currently depends on you constantly creating more ways to get seen, of needing to create more visibility just to maintain momentum, that is not just a content problem. It's not just a top of funnel marketing issue. It might just be that your business has nowhere meaningful for attention to travel after it arrives. So what I want you to do is to start thinking about how can you work backwards. If you would like to learn more about my visibility system, then you can access that as well in the show notes. And yeah, with that, stay savvy. This is all about getting your business to work harder for you so that you're able to actually reach your goals without exhausting yourself. With that, I will see you in the next episode.